everybody, Peppermint here, and welcome back to another episode of the Anomaly. Last time we learned a little bit more about the hum. Well, we didn't really learn anything, but we heard more about it. So hopefully we can hear some more this episode, because I'm really curious to know what's going on. The rest of the day flew by as expeditious as usual. Before long, I was standing with Valerie in the main lobby right inside the main doors. A few minutes later, both Ross and his sister had found their way to the meetup spot as well, and with that, we were off. That's right, we're going to like a hardware store or something for computery things. It's been a couple weeks since I've played because I've gone back to my real job. Sad face, but yeah, I haven't been able to play in a couple weeks, so I'm trying to process what happened last episode. Jeez, what a day. Always feels good to get out of that place after a hard day's work. Hard work? Ross, you spent over half the day in the shed. Maintaining those servers is tough business, Val. Not business, business. Maybe if I wasn't the only one putting work into those beautiful machines, I'd have more time to focus on myself. Well, you're not wrong. I don't really touch them unless I'm exploiting something on the EDU network. Yeah, true. I have no idea what an EDU network is. I really wish this game had an encyclopedia for us not so computery people. You should probably start showing up to class a little more often, though. Don't want to get popped for truancy, do ya? Oh, please. Classes this semester are painfully easy. I don't see myself flunking classes anytime soon. Besides, it's not truancy if I'm on school grounds, is it? But the teachers don't know that. For all they know, you're still at the house. And they'll probably end up dragging me into the whole situation, too. Oh, it'll be fine. If it starts becoming an issue, I'll consider setting up a VPN to the servers from my school laptop. Well, if that isn't the most Ross-esque solution to a problem I've ever heard. Come to think of it, that saved me the trouble of having to lock and secure the shed after using it. I'd only really have to go in there for upgrades to the physical infrastructure. Damn, I'm smart. Welp, there's his ego. That's my big bro. Just don't get caught, okay? Caught? Pff, as if. It's me we're talking about after all. Wait, didn't Mr. Peters catch you looking at memes during class last week? Oh yeah, they'll never catch you. That was different. Within the boundaries of my computer, I'm as safe as ever. Besides, getting caught using a cell phone is a bit more noticeable. If you say so. I'm still giving it less than a month before you're caught, though. What about you, Tucker? 2 weeks, tops. You guys really don't have any faith in me, do you? Nope. None at all. Of course we do, buddy. You're just bad at hiding things. You seriously have no poker face at all. A look of sudden realization instantly materialized on his face, utterly proving my point right away. He turned to Lena. Wait, seriously? Is it true? Well, it is pretty easy to tell when you're up to something by your facial expressions, that's for sure. But I've always thought that I had an impeccable poker face. I mean, God tier. You couldn't be any further from the truth if you tried. But hey, look at the bright side. At least you know about it now. You know that old saying, Tuck? Ignorance is bliss? Oh, I knew the saying all right. I'd been thinking about it ever since Val texted me the other morning about the whole Kiera situation. But still, it was hard to feel too empathetic towards Ross. After all, his inability to hide his shenanigans were part of what made him so affable, in my opinion. I was genuinely surprised he didn't know until that moment. As we rounded the corner of 12th and Court, Lena split off from the group to head home, leaving Val, Ross, and I to continue our trek towards town. The mall seemed much more empty than usual, but I suppose that's typical for a Monday afternoon. As we walked towards the hardware store, I noticed Ross eyeballing Polly's on the opposite end of the walkway. We could always stop by on the way out, you know. Every part of me wants to eat at Polly's right now, but I told Lena I'd have dinner with her tonight. She said she'd cook it herself and everything. Lena kind of seems like a bro-con. Does she have like a brother complex or something? I mean, I understand being close to your siblings, but I don't know. She might have a thing for Ross. Whoa, Lena can cook? I never knew. She thinks she can, at least. Well, at least you actually eat what she puts in front of you. How unusually considerate of you. I'm only picky when it comes to women, Val. I can't sell myself too short, you know. Have you ever even had a girlfriend? In a desperate attempt to change the topic, Ross points his finger towards Benell Hardware a few doors down. Well, would you look at that? We're here, guys. I'll take that as a no. Have you ever had a boyfriend, Valerie? Because I think that's probably a no as well. In fact, I think we're all virgins. We entered the store and headed right for the bulbs and locks aisle. We spent a good 5 minutes comparing a number of different locks, each with their own specific purpose. Ross said we should buy traditional padlocks with a short length of a chain. Valerie argued that a normal computer lock should be more than enough. I guess she was trying to be more cost effective. They argued back and forth for a short while before I decided to interject while holding up a lock of my own. What about a gun lock? You know, that's actually not a bad idea. It's flexible enough, all right. We wouldn't even have to buy a chain. Great find, Tuck. After picking up our locks, we spent a short while longer browsing the store for miscellaneous electronic parts and accessories. Ross and I were having a field day looking at the assortment of integrated circuits, memory modules, and various other computer components while Val trailed along behind us. I looked over for a moment to see her in another one of her space outs. I waved my hand in front of her face to snap her out of it. Still with us, cadet? Huh? Oh, yeah. Whoa. Something the matter? No, I'm fine. It's just... I thought I heard something just now, like a droning noise from somewhere far off. It's the hum. A droning noise? Where had I heard that before? I searched my mind for where I may have heard something similar. Oh yeah, the hum. I heard it on the news last week and read about it online just yesterday. Nothing to get too worked about. It's just another thing for people to obsess over with their conspiracy theories and foil hats. Maybe what you heard was the rumble of your spaceship's engine. Not funny. Humor is subjective, you know. Well, if it's nothing, then let's just head over to the checkout so we can head back home. Sounds like it. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of scared me. Not cool, game. Not cool. I can handle horror movies and stuff like that, like no problem, but when it comes to scary games, I'm like, I don't want no part of that. Almost as if on cue, the entire store went dark and began to shake gently for a second or two, nearly scaring me half to death. The lights came back on before I even had a moment to assess the situation. A power outage? Then what caused the tremor beneath my feet just now? The devil. I thought for a minute about the hum. Could this have been an instance of what all those nutcases on the TV were talking about? No, it couldn't be. There's no proof after all. Ross and Val didn't seem to react much to what just happened, so why should I? Still, the idea had been planted in the back of my mind. I told myself it was nothing, but the nagging suspicion still lingered in my head for pretty much the rest of the day. After paying for our newly acquired locks, we headed back into the suburbs to go home for the night. We each went our separate ways, leaving the locks with Ross since he didn't have class immediately after homeroom. I walked through the door to my room, plopped myself down at my computer desk, and pulled up a browser window. It's that good music again. That's what I think about that music. Prime. Prime music. I needed to prove to myself that this hum business was all a load of crap. There had to be a logical explanation. There had to be. 30 minutes later, and I was no closer to an answer than when I began. Turned out, reportings of the phenomena have only began to spring up sometime around the 70s, and are too few and far between to be considered an actual issue. As far as the non-credible news sources go, I found a heap of theories aimed at trying to explain this strange occurrence. Just like the ones I read last night. Some people just have too much time on their hands. After a little bit more digging, I found a few alternate theories that tie the government to the extraneous noises. Some users on a conspiracy theory forum suggest that the government is using radio waves to alter the weather. I've actually heard about that before, okay? I'm not going to say where I live, but there are a lot of tornadoes here, and people were saying that the tornadoes were caused by Obama. So this is not unrealistic at all whatsoever. People genuinely believe this stuff. They claim that the Air Force's High Altitude Radio Wave Research Initiative. Okay, the Air Force's High Altitude Radio Wave Research Initiative, or HARI? HRRI? HARI? Okay, is being used to change weather patterns by shooting radio waves into the sky and raising the ionosphere. I feel stupid reading that sentence. Now that's a stretch. I didn't know what to think. I was too drained from school and my trip to town with Ross and Val that all I wanted to do was sleep. After another hour or so of searching the web, I fell asleep at my desk. Ugh, how late was I up? After hauling myself from my desk, taking a shower, and packing my backpack for class, I headed out the door towards school. I really shouldn't have stayed up as late as I did. How many hours did I sleep? Clearly not enough. I had a crick in my neck from sleeping with my head cocked sideways on the hard surface of my desk, and I was struggling to wake up. Sounds like a good day to skip school, honestly. Thoughtlessly, I made my way to school and took my seat for homeroom. Of course, as per the usual morning routine, I bumped into Kiera on my walk here. She asked me a couple times on the way if anything was the matter, but I told her that I was simply exhausted from a bad night's sleep. Though that's true for the most part, I also couldn't get the idea of the hum out of my head since yesterday afternoon. Maybe I'm just overthinking the whole thing. What am I talking about? Of course I'm overthinking this. Aliens? Spaceships? Secret government projects? I'm better than to fall for such baseless conspiracy nonsense. It's a new day after all. It'd be a shame to have it go to waste, mulling over something so outlandish and beyond my control. Garrett? Has anyone seen Garrett? Snapping out of my daze, I looked around the room for Garrett. Nope, no Garrett. If I had to guess, I'd say he got sick over the weekend and is taking some time off to recover. Nope, he's dead. Simple as that, he died. Same as yesterday, nobody says a word. Maybe he's playing hooky. What do you think? Hard to say. My guess is an illness of some kind. You're probably right. I don't know much about the guy, but I hope he's doing alright. Garrett was a pretty quiet guy, the type that never really made a concerted effort to fit in anywhere. He wasn't weird or anything, he was just more introverted than most. In fact, he'd been known by mostly everyone in school to be a pretty genuine guy. He'd be fine though. I doubted it was anything serious, otherwise the staff would likely have known about it. So, have you looked any more into joining the school's editorial club? To be honest, I haven't looked into it yet. Thanks for reminding me though. Mrs. Gonzalez gave me an extension on the club form since I'm new and all, so I'll be sure to get it to her by the end of the day, after I've had more time to think it over. If you decide against the editorial club, there's always the computer science club. We'll see. I think I'm pretty set on this, but that doesn't mean I can't cut class and hang out in the lab with you guys every now and then, yeah? You're not wrong. When the bell rang, I got up, rubbed the sleep out of my eyes, and decided to trudge through the rest of my classes for the day. I somehow managed to stay awake for my morning classes, but by the time lunch rolled around, I was feeling pretty out of it. I wasn't even hungry either, so I grabbed a banana from the lunch line and headed to the shed to see the fruits of Ross's labor this morning. One look at the server racks, and it was apparent that Ross had already been here. The new locks had been tethered between the racks, and one of the cages containing various balls, padding, and team gear. Well, I've got some time to kill. Might as well log on and see what's going on the network. I log in, open up a Wiresnake session, and get ready to start collecting network traffic data when a pair of hands cover my eyes from behind, nearly scaring me half to death. Guess who? I'm gonna say Lena or Ross. Probably not Valerie. Definitely not Ethan. That voice. It's too cute and innocent sounding to be anyone but Lena. Yep, see, I'm getting to know the characters. Jeez, Lena, trying to give me a heart attack? Oh, boo, how'd you know it was me? Nobody else sounds quite like you. I noticed her blush a little. It wasn't meant to be a compliment, but she must have taken it as one. Whoops. It wasn't that I didn't like her or anything. I just didn't mean it like that. Don't worry about it, Tucker. She's in love with Ross. Well, anyways, I just came to see what you were up to. I saw you leave the cafeteria pretty much right after the bell rang, so I figured I'd tell you to see what's up. I just wasn't feeling all that hungry today and wanted to come here to test out Ross's new equipment. But if you're here, you're gonna miss lunch. Don't you think you ought to get going? Nope. She took off her backpack, set it on the ground, and pulled out a brown paper bag with her name written elegantly in black marker on the front. I packed my own munchies today. Plopping down next to me, she reached into her bag and pulled out a couple juice boxes. Oh, that sounds so good right now. For some reason, I don't know why, but juice out of a juice box is so much better than just like regular juice. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the nostalgia factor, but I want to go buy some juice boxes now. Aren't you a little too old to be drinking juice boxes? Absolutely not. I'm just old enough that I have to buy my own now. You want one? She reached out to offer me her extra juice, only to pull it away with a smug look on her face when I tried to grab it. Listen, kid. Kid, huh? I'm only a year younger than you, you know. She snickered and tossed me the juice box, which I clumsily snatched from the air. I wasn't ready. I finished drinking in a matter of seconds, crushed the empty box, and tossed it in the large trash bin near the corner of the shed. These things were always way too small, but the taste had a nostalgia factor about it that made it worth consuming. See? I'm not the only one. I've got to say, that actually hit the spot. You're most welcome. Well, thanks, I guess. I smiled and turned my attention back to the KVM monitor in front of me. Lena leaned in close, peanut butter and jelly sandwich in hand, to see what I was working on. Hacker stuff? Hacker stuff. She nodded knowingly. Anyone I know? I looked at her in confusion, not quite clear on what she meant by that. You know, your next target. Oh, gotcha. And to answer your question, yes and no. I'm just taking a snapshot of the network traffic to see what's going on. I'm not actually attacking anyone per se. You nosy little jackass. Are you telling me you can see what everyone's sending to each other? If it's being sent over Wi-Fi, yeah. Lena sat back in her seat with a worried expression. Was she blushing? You haven't read any of my messages, have you? No. Ross, Val, and I have an agreement not to go snooping around on each other's business. You and Ethan included. I don't think that's true. I would just like to remind you of finding Valerie's nudes on Ethan's phone. Forgot about that one, didn't ya? Oh, that's good. Got something to hide, do we? What? No, of course not. Uh-huh. She stuffed her face with more of her sandwich and turned away from me. My best guess would be that she had a crush that she's been messaging, or messaging about. I wondered if Ross knew anything about that. Oh, I think he knows. Well, best not to tell him anything. Wouldn't want to give him an excuse to snoop around his sister's business. After combing through the network traffic data for a few minutes, something dawned on me. A thought from earlier that I had resolved to put out of my mind. I couldn't be the only one that had an experience like the one I had yesterday with Val and Ross, right? I hit frame contains and ran a search through all of the connected network data for information containing the words hum, blackout, and strange noises. Nothing. Well, it was worth a try. Lena popped up beside me yet again to see what was going on. Ahem, is that some sort of code word or something? I might as well explain my experience from the day before. After all, if there was anyone that was going to believe my story, it was Lena. For as long as I've known her, she'd had a creative mind. Maybe she could offer up some sort of alternative explanation as to what may have happened to me at the mall. Have you heard any rumors about a strange humming noise coming from the sky recently? No? I let out a shallow sigh. I thought not. Well, would you mind explaining what it is you're talking about? This is going to sound ridiculous, but I love ridiculous. Well, this is going to sound especially ridiculous. I've been hearing about and seeing reports of a strange humming noise coming from the sky on the TV, social media, you name it. I didn't really think much of it until yesterday afternoon when I went to the mall with Ross. Let me guess, you heard the humming noise at the mall? Not exactly. Valerie had another one of her space owls while Ross and I were shopping, and when I snapped her out of it, she said she thought she heard a faint droning noise coming from a distance. I cupped the bottom of my chin and looked up in thought. The more I think about it, the more the whole situation seemed like a big coincidence. I may have just been overthinking things, but I was too committed to telling my story to stop now. A few seconds later, the entire store blacks out. At the time, I guess my mind just associated the two occurrences, and I went to work on finding an explanation as to what could have happened. Spent all night looking, and all I could come up with was a bunch of conspiracy theories. So there's no evidence behind these bizarre noises? Nothing at all? None. Reports of a similar noise coming down from the sky have only started to surface around the mid-70s, and there are too few to be considered a serious issue. Science so far hasn't been able to prove anything. That is strange. You're telling me. Out of curiosity, what were some of the theories you stumbled across in your search? Some of them were pretty wild. Nothing to get excited about, though. Well, like what? Well, if you discount the nutty alien claims, the more believable ones involved spacecraft and secret government projects. Ooh, like the one government area that they say has all sort of alien technology and research going on inside of it? I highly doubt aliens are the cause. Well, I guess it is a bit more believable that the government might be doing something they probably shouldn't. The government, huh? Just then, something clicked in my head. I remembered one of the more detailed articles I read from last night's search. The one about the Air Force's Aural Research Program. And we're gonna have to find out about that next episode, because I'm over time. I want to keep playing. I'm so curious about what's going on. but it's gonna have to wait. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day!